Shauna here, and today I am so excited to talk with you about how we are just getting more friends. Shauna here, welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. If you are new, we are a homeschooling family of 4. We are in our 7th year of homeschooling, which means I've got a bit of experience under my belt. This has actually been our path since my oldest was in kindergarten, so it's kind of been our entire real school career has been homeschool. And I have a 2nd and a 6th grader. So today I wanted to pop on and I wanted to talk with you. I wanted to just talk it out, discuss with you that there's always a risk. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. Did you know that more and more and more and more people are continuing to turn to homeschool? And it is no longer, and I'm sure that a lot of people would argue that it is out of necessity, but it is because they are in a place where the alternative, they can recognize that the alternative is not as good, or the alternative is not serving them. So yes, in some ways it's out of necessity, but I'm gonna say it's not like the same necessity that was created by the pandemonium situation. I am so excited that we're growing again. I'm so excited. We're getting so many friends, and a large portion of the audience that is searching out homeschool stuff is prospective homeschoolers. So now is an amazing time to remind people that you can homeschool for reasons other than religious motivations. You can still have a personal faith and choose to homeschool for reasons other than religious motivations. You do not have to choose curriculum, and there is now more than ever out there that does not have religious association. It is an amazing time to be a homeschooler. However, now that, a large portion of you and I have done this for a period of time, it is a lot easier to look back and be like, well, that wasn't that bad. However, if you are standing at your decision point, you are at the end of the diving board, it is much scarier to jump than it is to go back and climb down that ladder. So if you are that person who's standing there and you're looking out at the vastness below you and the terrifying plummet, and you say, this is too scary, this is too unsafe, I don't know what's gonna happen, there's too much risk. I wanna tell you that there is always risk. Always. There's always a risk, whether you make a decision or you stay and don't make a decision. By not making a decision, you are deciding. So if you are wondering if you should make the jump to homeschool, but you're worried about the risks associated with it, please remember that by staying where you are or taking the path you had assumed you would take, there is still risk associated with that. All of life is genuinely like the choose your own adventure books. So you turn the page and you're faced with choices. Whichever way you go, you then have to turn to another page and assume the consequences of what is going to happen based on your decision. There is always risk. What you have to do, especially if you are trying to decide which way to go, you have to decide which risk, when it pans out, when you're looking back, at the end of the day, which one is going to be the one that was more worthwhile for you? Whether you choose to educate your children yourselves, whether you choose to send your children to a brick and mortar school, and let's not kid, the risks for various things associated with that is so much greater than it was when we went to school, so much greater. The threats of violence, the threats of bullying, social media presence, all of those things are so much greater than when we went to school. Those risks, you just have to balance which risks are you willing to take and which outcomes are you willing to live with. I want to remind you that there's always risk. You just have to decide which ones will be tolerable for you at the end of your days. Which ones are you willing to accept you succeeded or failed at? And I also want to remind you that essentially, kind of, there's no real risk with trying something new when it comes to home education, because it is one of the things that at any point you can pull the plug. I was just reading a book, and in the book, this person's talking about their anxiety and they're trying something new, and somebody else told them the keys, you have your keys, they're in your pocket, you can leave whenever you want. The decision to homeschool is very much like that, because society as a whole wants us to traditional model school so badly that it is very easy to try homeschool, decide it is not for you, course correct, and get your kids back into school. I'm not saying there won't be any pitfalls or possible, needing to update their grade placements, things like that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that it is relatively easy to decide to jump ship from homeschooling and go the other way, and vice versa. It is one of the things that when you are doing this is one of the easier decisions to make, because while the benefits are huge, the consequences of changing your mind aren't that great. So there is a lot of grace that is provided in the decision to homeschool or the decision to no longer homeschool that I don't think that most people realize. They take it on and they shoulder this burden thinking that this is a forever decision and it's terrifying, and how will I know, and what will I do? What if it doesn't work out? What if I don't know what I'm doing? Do exactly what I did and how we started. I wanted to homeschool. My husband said, well, what if we just try school? Because he was not a huge fan of the idea. He's like, let's do what we know. What if we just send her to school, and then if it doesn't work out, we try? And I countered with, what if we try and then it doesn't work out? We send her back to school and we try that. That is how we got to homeschooling. And we both made a very, very solid promise to each other and to our child. When you shoulder the burden of educating your child, it is on you, one, to make sure that they get educated, but two, to make sure that that is the path that's right for you, for your child, and for their education. So my husband and I promised each other that every 6 months, every semester, we would check in and make sure that we were still where we wanted to be. So if you are wondering, there's always a risk, absolutely, but something that you can do is hold yourself accountable. Write down why you want to homeschool. Fill out a pros and cons, and then write down what your benchmark is. Predefine what your success is to help you on the backside know if you're meeting that. Because if you're not, genuinely, you need to reevaluate what you're doing, how you're spending your time, or if you should even be doing it. I am a huge fan of knowing when to quit. This life is not for everybody, and I'm not going to tell you it's for you if it's not. I don't know your home. I don't know your situation. I just want to remind you that there is always risk. The reward can be positively huge, especially when it comes to homeschooling, but you can always jump ship. You have the freedom, you have the keys in your pocket. You can go home anytime you want, okay? One more thing that I want to ask you, because if you are here, you are a prospective parent. If you've made it this far, you're thinking about homeschooling. Is what you are living right now worth the risk of the unknown? Is your kid in school and succeeding and doing great? Why are you questioning if you should homeschool? Is your kid in school and struggling? Is it worth it to give it 6 months and try something else? Give it your good old college try, okay? Give it all of your effort, all of your energy to give it a try. Don't let the fear, don't let the risk paralyze you and keep you from doing this. And just like if you were doing a diet, you don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to start at the beginning of the year. You can start now. And don't do what so many people do when they are trying something new and get crippled by the thought that it has to be perfect to start. It does not. I have a lot of videos here on this channel explaining how to start. I also have a large collaboration network that we work with very often, and they all have videos on letting you know how to start. I'm happy to answer questions. There's tons of stuff out there. There's tons of resources in the community that we've built here from viewers like you. Is amazing and is helpful all the time. Don't let the fear paralyze you. There is always a risk, always. Risk isn't what should scare you, okay? Yeah, we're all probably messing it up and it's gonna be catastrophic and the world's gonna burn one day anyway. But today, what is it worth to you today? Are you willing to try? It could be amazing. You get to choose your own adventure. Guys, I hope that you found it as helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. For all of you who have stayed through to the end, if you are a current homeschooling parent, will you do me a huge favor? Will you scroll down to the comments and just leave a message of encouragement, a message, something that helped you get started, a resource that you found. YouTube won't automatically approve the link, so I'll do my best to keep up with that. But what is something that helped you decide to take the risk? What was something that helped you decide that choosing this was less risky than the alternative? What is it that as a prospective homeschooler you heard that turned you into a homeschooler? Guys, let us know. Write on down in the comments, or you can find us over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. I am excited to hear your feedback on this one because there are so many more people coming to join us. It's amazing. Our group is growing, and that just means that there's going to be more available to all of us.